we need to talk about Alicent Hightower, the character from House of the Dragon, who like others was failed by the writers of the show, except they more than just failed my girl. They butchered the character out of her, and they maimed her and crippled her. They massacred her. But why do I say this? Well, I say this because she was stripped of motivation and fixed internal conflict, though we could argue she actually has them, but we can talk about that later in the video. So in the book that they used to adapt House of the Dragon, which is Fire and Blood, Alicent is 18 years old when Rhaenyra is 9, giving them a 9-year-old difference. So she marries Viserys the First. She's mature by today's standards and also by Westerosi standards. She's actually far mature by those standards, and she obviously knows the way of court and politics, given that her father, Otto Hightower, has been serving as Hand of the King for a very long time. Plus, she used to spend time reading to Jaehaerys, the Conciliator. However, in House of the Dragon, Alicent and Rhaenyra are nearly the same age, since the show decided to age up Rhaenyra. We don't see her reading to dear old Jerry in this case, Alicent reading to Jaehaerys, but that's actually irrelevant to the story and wouldn't make much of a difference. And in House of the Dragon, Alicent appears to be a young, naive girl, somewhat like Daenerys from the first season of House of the Dragon. And Otto Hightower, who is my favorite Hand of the King in A Song of Ice and Fire, by the way, is like the Viserys III of Alicent's life. The big old bad Hightower who manipulates his innocent daughter to seduce a man who's older than her, marry him, and use the influence that she has as queen to consolidate power to their cause. Does this remind you of something from Game of Thrones? Anyway, yeah, this is how it is in the show House of the Dragon. Alicent, on the other hand, is innocent. She's just a girl who wants to spend all her time in the world reading with Rhaenyra and eat lemon cakes and fly on dragonback, although she kind of hates that idea because she thinks it's dangerous. And she wants to pray and talk about suitors and possibly even get married to Rhaenyra. Anyway, so now let's compare. Is Alicent better in the books or in the show? Well, first I would say it depends on who you are asking. But I guess everyone in the fandom already has come to the conclusion. But given that I am the one delivering my conclusion in this instance, I will say, given the Alicent delivered by the show and by the books, I, Teresa, my name is Teresa by the way, of House Rain, first of my name, in the name of Stannis the Manis of House Baratheon, first of his name, King of the Andals, the Rhoynar and the First Men, declare that Lady Alicent Hightower of the books is in every way, known to man, the old gods and the new, better than Alicent from the show. Now, sure, Alicent had potential. This actually brings me back to her internal conflict, which I mentioned that we have to talk about. We can see that she's not happy following her father's path. Good job, Shaw. She has urgency in that case. She follows the rules. Yeah, Alicent is a rule follower. That's why I like her. Like, her name is Alicent, like Ali Saint, like saint. Anyway, she obeys her daddy and stays faithful to King V and upholds her friendship with Rhaenyra faithfully until she can't anymore. This is a good start. It could have worked. It worked in season 1. We see Alicent developing from this naive girl who believed in Rhaenyra's innocence and purity to someone who discovers the truth, and she sees the world for what it really is. She sees everything for what it really is, and she decides to take political matters into her own hands because she's the only one who seemed not to be really playing into politics very much, except her marriage to Viserys, which was, by the way, not her idea. So now, let's examine why Alicent from the show falls flat compared to Alicent from the books. Even though they could have just been at par with each other had the writers of the show not been so pro Team Black that they had to destroy the very backbone of Team Green to make us root for Team Black. It's sad. Firstly, her character arc. We can call it if we can call it a character arc, gets completely discarded. It's like Game of Thrones season 8 type of butchering of a character arc, but done better, I guess. So we see Alicent evolve from this naive, die-hard Rhaenyra glazer and simp to a woman whose eyes have been opened thanks to the powerful monologue of wisdom by the wisest character in House of the Dragon, the one who is always right, Otto the Chad Hightower. He tells her that Rhaenyra will see to it that Aegon, Aemond, Daeron, possibly even Helena, are put to the sword if she has to ascend the throne, since King V remarried and Alicent popped out 3 healthy male heirs that the realm would gladly choose over Rhaenyra, given the male primogeniture that was strictly followed. So, Criston Cole also confesses that it was he who did the deed of taking the first bite of the meal called Rhaenyra. That is the one who sullied Rhaenyra. Alicent is upset. She's mad, okay? She knows Otto is right. He always is. I feel like I need to make a video about Otto Hightower. She knows that Rhaenyra lied, and flat out lying, okay? She lied.
This is a vile accusation.
Okay, Rhaenyra. What else does Alicent do in this case? She declares war on Rhaenyra. The dance has begun. This is where the dance is supposed to begin. A lot of people say that the dance actually began when Viserys remarried. I guess so, but like, if it began spiritually at that moment, I feel like physically, if there's something like that, this is where it should begin. Okay? She shows up to the wedding of Rhaenyra in green and saves Criston Cole from killing himself after the stupid murder of Joffrey. The show could have done better on that one. The books already had a better way to let Joffrey die. And you know, the thing is that even if they had said, oh, but the tourney would have costed us a lot of money on the budget, they had put a tourney in the beginning, which by the way violated the rules of knighthood. Why did Daemon attack Gwaine Hightower? Was it Gwaine Hightower or Omund Hightower? I really don't know, but that tourney in season 1 episode 1 was rather, I don't know, kind of Game of Thrones season 8 quality tourney. Anyway, so this is the Alicent we have now, the Alicent who has declared war on her enemies and is willing to fight the cause of her children and be at the heart of Team Green, as should be. Okay? This is the Alicent we're supposed to be dealing with. She has changed. Her change is justified. She's not season 8 Dany who makes up her mind to do something after hearing some bells ring without any foreshadowing. We can always argue about the foreshadowing of Game of Thrones season 8 and Dany's turn to become a mad queen, whatever, but please, Alicent has a motivation in this case. Her motivation for changing is save her kids and denounce the evil and degenerate Rhaenyra. She still has her morals, okay? As I said earlier, she's Alicent, like saint, okay? Alicent has changed. Morals are part of what changed her. If Alicent had a TikTok campaign, it would be something like hashtag Rhaenyra is a liar, hashtag justice for Criston Cole, hashtag save the children. Her cause is worth rooting for at this point. If she wants to put Aegon on the throne, it becomes justified, because that's the only way to save her children and the realm from evil Queen Rhaenyra. You see what I mean? And adding to this, Rhaenyra herself even fuels Alicent's divine purpose by bearing three strong boys who are not her husband's sons. They are strong boys through and through, but as always, King V shrugs it off. Although on that one, we could argue that Rhaenyra is not to blame given that her husband was gay as hell. But Rhaenyra, please, she could have been with someone who at least looked the part of a Valyrian instead of just going with Howin Strong, who gave her sons who looked exactly like him. Adding to the addition, her beloved son Aemond is mutilated for being daring enough to claim Vhagar. Say what you will about Aemond, but in my opinion, Aemond and Daenerys Targaryen are the only Targaryens who deserve their dragons, given how much sacrifice it took them to actually obtain the dragons. So Aemond loses a damn eye. Alicent's breaking point has come, you all. She hasn't said a word until now, but she gets bold enough to order Criston Cole to remove Lucerys' eye And when Kristen Cole doesn't, because Daemon blocks his way, Alicent gets the cat's paw dagger from Viserys and goes for the eye herself. This is war.
Is the reaction back in his chin and growing him?
A few moments later.
It's not war. She still loves Rhaenyra and toasts to her at the Last Supper and says Rhaenyra will make a great queen. What a letdown show. I would have understood if she pretended just to please Viserys. But no, it's real. She doesn't want Aegon to take the throne in House of the Dragon. She makes him take it because Viserys was high on milk of the poppy and confused her for Rhaenyra and told her about the prince that was promised. How pathetic.
Give me something for the pain and let me die.
Then in season 2, she goes back on her word and betrays her children to sneak out to Rhaenyra. Like, she forgets blood and cheese. All of Otto's teachings go out of her head and she accepts that Rhaenyra should claim Aegon's head and possibly Aemon's and Daeron's head as well. Even Helena's little Jaehaera. Anyway, how Game of Thrones season 8 type of massacring of characters can this actually get? In my opinion, I would argue the queen who never was in House of the Dragon actually has to be Alicent Hightower. Alicent is very different from her book counterpart, mind you, and so in the show she's the queen who never was. She has no motivation now. She just goes wherever the wind blows. They butchered her internal conflict because she has no clear goal. She's just in the middle of the game, blinder than a bat. She loses the character arc given to her by the books. Her character arc is not there. She's a green and a partner in crime of Otto the Chad from day one. The show chose to revise that, to subdue the typical evil stepmother trope, only to create this inconsequential version of Alicent, a woman without a purpose, playing the Game of Thrones. When you play the freaking Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground, okay? Let me know what you think of Alicent, and please share which character you feel was wronged by the show more than Alicent Hightower. Please like and subscribe for more.